There are some great vegan choices when you're thinking of protein, but when we think of protein, typically we think of meat. So what we want to do is look for 10 to 35% of your calories per day as protein. Average 60 to 75 grams per day, depending on your size, your weight, your activity level, and depending on your needs from your medical provider. Now, the portion size of any of these steaks, any of these meats, should be the size of the palm of your hand, or about 3 ounces. So that should give you about 2 to 3 grams of saturated fat per serving. So if you look at some of these steaks, you want to look for some of them that are the least marbled, but also look at the portion sizes. This one could feed almost 3 people. And how many times do you actually sit down and maybe try and finish a little bit more than half of that? One of the things about fat is not a bad thing. We need to have good, healthy fats, and sometimes animal fat is part of that. But we want to shoot for only 20 to 35% of our calories as fat. 15 grams of saturated fat, which really is so easy to come by, and 2 to 3 grams of saturated fat per serving. In the meat section, there are several good healthy choices here, but one thing I really want you to look at is looking for the grass-fed, no hormones, cage-free, that kind of thing. If you have to go to the processed meats, I'd really like you to skip the processed meats, but if you do have to go to something like this, I want you to read the labels. One thing with the processed meats is the sodium and the nitrates. Sodium levels we want to keep about 1,500 milligrams up to 2,300 milligrams tops. Now, if you're going to read the labels, what you want to look for is about less than 300 milligrams per serving. This one here, even though it has no preservatives, it has no nitrates, it also has 500 milligrams per serving of sodium. So it may not be the better choice if you're looking for a heart healthy diet. But I really want to stress the chemicals and no preservatives and also no nitrates. Now when they do that, they have to cure it with something. So you're going to end up with more sugar and more salt. So generally, again, cooking for yourself, cooking that roast and then saving the leftovers to make sandwiches with later is always a better choice. One of the things when we think of meat, we think of a lot of red meat, and we think turkey is a great alternative. But one thing about turkey is that you can have ground turkey, which is, this one is 93% lean. Ground turkey has just that, ground turkey. It can have any kind of white meat, dark meat, anything in it. And when you get to the ground turkey breast, it's simply that, it's just the turkey breast. Now, what we're trying to do is get to only 2 to 3 grams saturated fat per serving, so it's really important that you're kind of looking, again, reading the labels and the packaging. This one, the ground turkey, is already at 2.5 grams per 4-ounce serving. So again, looking at this, it's only going to be this little bit. So what we want to do is read the labels, make sure we're getting what we think we're getting. Now on that note, on fats, 2 to 3 grams of saturated fat is all we need, but we also need good healthy fats. So about 2 to 3 times a week, try to get some really good fatty fish in, like a really good salmon. Salmon's really easy to prepare. It's really good in omega-3s, which we need to balance out, good for inflammation. If you can't get the salmon in, absolutely look for fish oil capsules. Now the meat section, it's always best if you can prepare your own meat, but sometimes you need to either get some convenience food meat, lunch meat, something like that. If you're going to go to the deli case, you really have to pay attention to the sodium content, the fat content, just what we were talking about, but none of these have packages. So how do you read the labels? Most delis have nutrition guides that will tell you just what the labels would be if it was a packaged item. Now some of these are not listed on here, but if you ask the person on the deli counter, they can actually print out the nutrition facts so you can see exactly what you're getting, especially when it comes to any kind of marinade or brine, or if you're looking for gluten-free. They have all of that information, so don't be afraid to ask for that information. They're more than willing to help you so that you can have your healthy choices.